Good morning, Anu. I hope you are well. It was wonderful to see you in the judging room last week for Festival Media Global Awards. I'd love to start these few questions with one around your experience, what it was like to be a judge this year and what it was like to be the chair of the jury.
Well, thank you first of all for giving me the opportunity, and it was indeed a pleasure to be a part of the group and the panel out there, and it was great to see the kind of work that was happening across categories as well. So it was a great learning experience, I would say, because there were a lot of things that we as a panel we kind of were discussing, we kind of were analyzing, and it was interesting to see the different themes being adopted by different categories. So overall, I mean, I loved the opportunity, I loved the experience, and it was great. Some great learnings as well for the group.
Fantastic. And it's always good to hear when judges and particularly chairs kind of enjoy themselves and enjoy immersing themselves in the work and with their fellow judges. I suppose a question for you is, what did you think of the standard of the work this year? And do you think it was a fair representation of the globe?
I would say I think the quality is clearly it's maturing. I would say year on year. It's good to see different categories coming across. So it was not just represented by a specific FMCG or a CPG. It was a very healthy mix, I would say, across whether it was automobile, whether it was social, whether it was FMCGs, or a good mix of categories, and how they were creating experiences for the consumers across different touch points, whether it was in the space of technology, whether it was in the space of social or web and all. I think there was the quality for sure has significantly improved, and more so in these ambiguous time where there's so much of change that every category and every industry is going through, and still how they're kind of adapting to this new world. I think that's been incredible.
Brilliant. And do you think, alongside that work, do you think there were any key trends or insights that you noted? I mean, it's been a crazy year, lots of challenges, as you said earlier, but do you think that the work that had adapted to the current situation the world was in, were there anything that kind of you felt that kind of had worked its way across most of the entries, or maybe there was a couple of insights that you took away that was fairly clear while you guys were judging?
I think for me, the key was that while I expected as different entries in each of those sections would have done fairly well to kind of be getting shortlisted for those categories, for example, whether it was for social or technology or fit for mobile or whatever. The most important thing that caught my attention was, and that's something which I was also looking for, is how purposeful the brands are when they're connecting with their audiences. And that's something which I was amazed to see, especially I would say in the social space, where it was actually a kind of I would say most of the entries, or rather all of the entries, were really interesting, and they were kind of really doing a complete justice to in terms of being leading the awards in that particular category. So for me, the key, more than the trend or the insight, it was how purposeful the brands are becoming, how relevant they are becoming in these times to solve for a solution for the consumer. So that was the key for me, and across categories, whether it was a social brand, or whether it was an FMCG brand or an automobile brand, which were more than just highlighting, talking about the product benefits, were showcasing of how they're solving for a larger issue or larger solution for the consumers.
Wow. I mean, that's fantastic, and it's great to see, because I know for many years now we've been talking about how do we address problems in the wider society, how do we help local communities, and it's great to hear that actually the work and potentially the pandemic probably accelerated this, I would imagine, over the last 12 months.
And there was a good mix of storytelling that I saw, which was interesting to like it was typically what 3 to 4 years back we used to see was all about the brand and the product benefits. I think the maturity over the years, and more so in the pandemic, is about the storytelling of how the brand stands for a clear purpose and how the brand stands to provide a solution to the larger community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, there, talking of the trends and the insights you saw and that great bit of social purpose, were there any ideas or campaigns you saw which completely blindsided you and you were like, wow, I didn't expect that, or that was absolutely fantastic? Was there anything in there that you just like, this is something I'm going to take some inspiration from?
For sure. As I said, at the beginning itself, there were some very interesting examples where, different brands have leveraged different opportunities or different challenges that came their way. Like, especially, I would say, the goodness of social as a platform, I think leveraged in the right way was really executed very nicely by, a couple of brands or campaigns that I saw, which was like the one that comes to top of my mind is the Unsaid, which was a great cause, and they leverage the social platform in a most beautiful way to kind of raise the issue or the challenge to the larger community and ask for solutions and ask for bring more awareness to the cause. So I think that was one of the key things that I took away about how social, because we've been very vocal about the con side of the social platform, but I think in all fairness there's a whole lot of the pro side which I think brands can leverage in a far more positive way.
Great. I mean, that sounds fantastic, and also great for the industry at large.
Yeah.
And I suppose from a jury perspective, we talked about how the standard of work is great. So if anyone were to win a trophy on Thursday in the ceremony, it would be well deserved. It would have been a tough, you guys had a lot of debates and a lot of discussion around each of the categories, and the level and the bar was set high. Would that be something you would agree with?
Absolutely. I think the panel itself was very vocal. I would say all my, colleagues were very clear about and very, I would say, honest about their analyzing each case. And there were some very interesting conversations we had. I mean, not to say that every case was a very unanimous decision, but I would say just because the depth of the entries by each of the brands was really amazing. So there were some very healthy conversations that happened around, like why are we going for this and why not this, and what were the critical, things which kind of distinguish one brand from the other. So all in all, it was a great experience, and there were very healthy conversations, which I believe each one of us learned also and took away also from those conversations about how we were actually looking at each of those campaigns before aligning on the final score.
Brilliant. And finally, I suppose, Anu, the question I ask you is, if someone was contemplating becoming a judge or a jury member of one of the Festival Media programs, what advice would you give them? And would you say that it's an opportunity worth doing?
I would surely encourage, because, and I can say this on my, basis of my experience, that when I saw the ads, when we saw the entries before getting onto the judging session, there was a different bias, right? But then when you get into the conversation, it helps you expand your, thinking horizons to a much more, broader level, because there are a whole lot of different angles that, the team brings on. So for me, it's like, it helped me open a whole lot of new angles of how you look upon things. So I would encourage that. I think it's a great opportunity, and it also gives the marketers to see the work that's happening across different categories. Because many a time we kind of tend to be focused from a category perspective that we miss the larger piece of, like, how do I expand my purpose scope to the larger audience? What are things that I can learn and reapply from a different category to my own business as well? So I think it's been a great experience. I would surely encourage and be a brand ambassador to support this as well.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much, Anu. Much appreciated. Thank you once again for being our chair, which is much appreciated.
Thank you so much as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing you on Thursday, hopefully, for a little bit at the ceremony.
Sure.